Welcome back to the Tackle Grapple Grappling League. Here we have Jihad Salti versus Epifanio Peterson. From here on, he will be called Epi. And we start off with a missed fist bump into some collar ties. I believe Epi is more of a guard player, whereas Jihad was a wrestler and still very much is. There we go with Jihad's initiating a nice little takedown, a little bit of a scramble. Wasn't able to get a dominant position off of it. Epi doing a good job with his butterfly guard, trying to keep him away, and they are back up. Jihad, uncertain with his shorts, keeps on readjusting it. We have some level changes by Epi, but Jihad's not biting. Going for that trip again. Looks like they're just locking horns here. Epi chooses to pull guard. And Jihad looking to do some sort of maybe outside passing. Yeah. Some good frames here. Just a reminder, matches are judged based on overall aggression, positional dominance, and submission attempts. So far, you can see Jihad's been staying on top and getting some takedowns, but takedowns aren't necessarily going to win you a match. And even here, where he is starting to threaten a little bit of a cradle, he still hasn't gotten a positive dominant position quite yet. Needs to get past that knee. Now here we have Jihad with the gift wrap. And there it is. If he flattens him out, we can get a side control.
You got 4 minutes
Looks like
left.
he's trying to pin that arm to the mat. Epi does a good job not letting that pass sink in. Now we got a little bit of a turtle, and here we go. Now we have Jihad going into side control. You can see significant top pressure here, pinning that hip down. Epi trying to build a base. Jihad breaking him down here. Looking for either a scarf hold or perhaps jump into mount.
Thanks, Dan.
We have a little bit of a north-south. Jihad now pushing the pace as far as overall dominance, but we are still lacking in a submission attempt. Easier said than done, I know. See Jihad trying to get back into side control, perhaps to get into a mount. And Epi seems to be turning in maybe to get onto his knees for a base. Jihad's not having it. But Mr. Peterson managed to recover guard. Jihad jumping right over. Trying to take him back. You see he has a grip on Epi's arm. Trying to create a little bit of space maybe to jump right into it. Here we go, turning him over into side control. Up, tries to fall back for an armbar, doesn't quite get it. Epi once again going to that seated guard. A little bit of hand fighting. These are 6-minute rounds. We're about 4 minutes in. See Jihad just going right back to the passing. Epi might be looking for some sort of leg entry, but when you're on guard, it's hard to be viewed at from the judges as the aggressor. I usually recommend for that kind of guard game scooting in and either trying to attack the legs or maybe getting a 2-on-1 on the wrist to at least pull him down. Because here you have Jihad kind of circling out, just looking for that that pass. Here we're back in turtle. Jihad looking at the clock. Might be some fatigue from both players at this point in time. And kind of flattens him out. Tries to continue the pass. Now, you think this is the position where I'd like to see Epi trying to kind of dig in a little bit into the legs, try to get into a leg entanglement, especially this late into a match. You'd have to feel that with Jihad getting as many passes and side control, that would probably be the defining factor of a match where we really didn't see very many submission attempts, and certainly no deep submission attempts. Jihad pushing up the pace towards the end, flattening him back out into side control, advancing to mount. Oh, but Epi grabs his leg, recovers half guard. Jihad going for that pass yet again. Little cartwheel pass.
Time.
And that looks like it's time. Good match by both of these competitors. The referees for this match were Uriah Burzins, who's actually in the middleweight division of the league, Dan Hughes, and then myself. So here we were deliberating a little bit on who wins, but it ended up being Jihad by unanimous decision here. Just again, based on control time, more so than anything else. And we will do better camera work in the future. Again, every iteration gets a little bit better. Good job, Jihad. See you on the next one. Jihad's second match of the day against John Soltis, a Cleveland Institute of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu product. Here we go. John has an unusual upright stance. We'll see if Jihad tries to capitalize that and go on by the back. Jihad playing a game of head position. John goes for a little bit of a trip. See both players kind of being a little cautious. Nothing wrong with that. Although these are 6-minute rounds. Heavily weighted on aggression and submission attempts. There we go. Let's see, both guys looking a little bit for a takedown. Run right into the laptop. That was the backup camera. I decided not to use that backup camera anyways for now. You might see some footage from it later. Obviously not this footage. And I am unwilling to clip this out. So you can just kind of see some shakiness. A little bit of a break in the action. And we're back. You see, hitting the laptop has probably made John reassess his willingness to stand. So now he's sitting down, playing a little bit of a half guard game. Looking for a frame, getting a little bit of a knee shield in there. And then Jihad goes for that pass that he loves so much. Jihad just kind of hunkering into side control. John looking to maybe get an underhook to build up a base and get up. Maybe a reversal. And Jihad sees it and scrambles. Jihad's pretty good at convincing people that they want to stand back up with him. I feel like a lot of guard players would usually be content kind of butt scooting around him, but there must be something that Jihad's doing well that makes people want to stand with him. Or they don't think he's a very good wrestler. Although John's a pretty good wrestler in his own right. Ooh, John with the pump fake. Tries to roll into a little bit of a guard. Maybe a Minari entanglement. But Jihad was just a little far out of range for that. And has started working his way to the back and into side control. Jihad's doing a good job with a loose head and arm grip. It's like an S grip around John's head and arm. A little buggy attempt on John's part. Building up a base. Jihad kind of goes for a rear naked, but he's off to the side, and John is able to capitalize on that. John is now on top. Jihad breathing through his mouth.
Keep going. Ignore that.
Looking at the clock, not a good look, Jihad. All good though. We've all been there. And it looks like John is making his ascent into maybe a full mount. Yep. Up.
Let them keep going. Just keep moving the shit
So
out
here
of
we
the
have
way.
John in a full mount. Dominant position. Jihad tries building himself up. Now Jihad's on top. We're trying to get some frames in here. Jihad stuffing that bottom knee. That's one of the moves he does to kind of stabilize the hips before he goes for that jumping pass. But he will need to get his arm out of there to complete it. John goes for a little bit of a open guard. Looks like he was trying to get a butterfly sweep out of that. Jihad just staying all over him. In a nice north-south position here. Jihad really getting up in there. Oh, Jihad with that outside trip on the come up. John putting a little bit more forward pressure in now that we're a little bit later into the
90
round.
seconds left. Center it up.
Pushing forward. Now here we got another reset.
Go.
With about a minute left in this round. Still not very many submission attempts in either of these first two rounds of the league. That's not to say we can't be surprised. Good frames, building up base. Unfortunately, when there aren't a lot of submission attempts, it's really going to go to control time and who's pushing the pace. Here we have Jihad going right back to that side control. Could be a north-south. Would like to see maybe a north-south choke. Maybe Jihad can take the back off from here. John doing a good job not letting Jihad settle. Both of these guys have been actually very active this round, which is exactly what you want to see. Jihad going for that trip again. Ooh, a little bit of a front headlock. Maybe he could turn this to a guillotine. But John shields himself by pushing his head up against the chest and cutting that angle.
Just counts down to 8 seconds.
Frames.
7,
John
6,
maybe
5,
going for a leg entanglement.
4, 3,
trying to straighten that
2,
leg out.
1. Time.
Oh, but ran out of time. That was a good match. It's tough to push the pace, protect yourself, and also go for submission attempts. I switched up the direction that I wanted people to stand, so Adam doesn't know why he's facing that way yet, but now he's gonna hopefully turn.
Adam, I'm gonna have you face me so Tackle's in the background.
Again, Uriah and Dan.
It doesn't matter what my vote is, but I was gonna vote for John just for submission attempts. But good. John wins by split decision.
Tough match to call, though. All right, and our final match of this initial round robin in the lightweight TGGL is John Soltis versus Epifanio Peterson. Epifanio immediately going for a knee cut pass. Looks like John pulled guard, looking for some sort of leg entanglement. Epi starting out strong, heavy aggression, now in full mount. You know, when we're digging for this arm and full mount, I generally like that shoulder pressure that Epi has on the chin of John, but he's got to be careful not to get himself off balance, because you'll notice that both of John's elbows are pretty hunkered down, so he'll be able to be pretty explosive from bottom. Epi's got some good control time. You see John actually fell back for a leg entanglement there. Epi going for a guillotine. Now just accepting frames. Now John pushing the pace, not letting Epi get up. Epi's got butterfly hooks. Butterfly guard, rather. Here we have a little bit of just push and pull. Both guys just trying to get a sense of passing. About 2 minutes into this round, it's pretty tough to call. So you have John that did fall back for a straight ankle, but he never really had quite a bite. And Epi definitely did have control time. Now Epi's going for a guillotine, and that is a legitimate submission attempt. So at this point, you'd have to think that Epi has a little bit of an edge. John then pushing the pace to get on top. Epi doing a good job not letting him do a whole lot with it. Epi getting back up. Yeah, he's basically gotten a reversal in that top position and might be able to get past. There we go. Way to capitalize on that and get a full reversal there. Looks like he might be trying to advance north-south. He might have the ability to... Oh, looks like John's reversing it. Oh, a reversal from John. Staying on top, trying to control those hips. John advancing to the front. Referee Uriah pulling the bag away. Ooh, good top control. I like this move. Oh, grabbing his own foot to sneak it over into mount. John playing a high mount of his own. Very reminiscent of how Epi started the match. John with a gas mask covering. Didn't do much with it, but we respect the hustle. He's doing a good job climbing and advancing, so keeping Epi's elbows away from his hips. Epi's looking to turn it over. Ooh, Epi has now turned this into a leg entry for him, except for John's leg is... No, John's leg is in danger. It is out. Epi doesn't have control of the hips quite yet, but he does have a bite on the ankle. Perhaps looking for a heel hook. John is mostly out at this point, but Epi has shifted to the other leg. Looks like we're going for a straight ankle. John, privy to how to defend, kind of turns out of it. But good submission attack. Sometimes I can't speak. Both these guys have slowed down a little bit in this later half of the round. You can see our Dodge Durango waiting patiently for its next victim in the background. These two young men stand up.
1 minute left. This has been a very back and forth match.
A little bit of hand fighting. He pulls guard, trying to get right back into the action. His butterfly guard has been effective for him so far in this match. You'd have to think that he wants to go back to that leg entanglement just because he was able to control the hips a little bit right when John got out. He just hadn't finished his ascent into a true leg entanglement scenario. John trying to pass again to the outside, doing a good job keeping that pressure. Rolled to his back though, tried to get a leg attack of his own, but
10,
Epi's feet
9,
are pretty
8,
tight on the
7,
inside, so he couldn't
6,
scoop around.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Epi coming from a gym where I think
Time.
everyone's hunting legs, so he's kind of privy to that. And here we go. Round's over, so it's going to go to a decision.
Dude,
this was an extremely back and forth match. There was a lot of discussion afterwards for this, but ultimately the judges gave the nod to Epifanio Peterson by virtue of his submission attacks.
And again, don't let my
I feel like both of these guys had moments of dominance and top position, but ultimately Epifanio had that guillotine attack, the leg entanglement, and several reversals, whereas John had really just that gas mask from top, and then a lot of really good scrambles. So I realize I spoiled the result of this way too early in the commentary, but I will do better in the future. Congratulations to Epifanio Peterson and John Soltis. This was an incredibly challenging match to score, and just a really impressive round altogether.